Ryan McNaught, more commonly known as Brickman, has been part of Brickvention from the very beginning. He is one of 14 LEGO certified professionals in the world, and the only one in the Southern Hemisphere. Brickman is also the judge of the hit LEGO reality TV show, LEGO Masters.
Welcome, Brickman.
Thank you.
Do you remember your first Brickvention?
I do indeed remember it very well. I built Flinders Street Station, of all things, and it was at VUT in the city.
Yes, and it was the second Brickvention you attended that got the attention of LEGO. What did you build for that one?
That was, I think, the year after, and actually no, it was the following Brickvention that got the attention of LEGO. The year after I built the LEGO Eiffel Tower set had come out, and what I thought I'd try and do is do a 4 times build. So I basically took the Eiffel Tower set and multiplied it by 4 and built that or thereabouts.
Yeah, right.
And like all good AFOLs, that came out of purely of that set being on sale at David Jones. So that was the main reason why I chose that one.
Do you have any Brickvention plans for 2021? What would we have seen?
Yeah, it's funny, we have a thing in our workshop where basically all the staff, we dedicate a couple of weeks where we get to make something for Brickvention and bring it along to Brickvention. Of course, obviously this year we've had to go digital as opposed to that, which is a bit of a bummer, but nonetheless we do. But I actually planned to make 2 models. The first one was I made Mr. Bean's Mini.
Oh, amazing.
So with Mr. Bean on the top, on his chair, so quite large,
yeah.
And power functions, remote control, so you can drive it around and that kind of cool stuff. The second one was I wanted to do a follow-up to my robot. He needed a villain on the other side, so I was working on that as well. But once sort of Brickvention went digital, I only did the Mr. Beans one, I never did the giant robot.
You've been around since the second Brickvention. Over all these years, what's your favourite Brickvention memory?
I think for mine, there's 2. The first one was when, at the second time at VUT in the city, just on Flinders Street there, when we had a massive queue out the front. That was sort of the first thing that we kind of realised, hey, this is an awesome thing. And you know, Brickvention, when it started back in the day, we only got the public to come, so in an effort to finance us having ourselves a bit of a LEGO day, that's kind of how it started. That was sort of the way to do it. But then kind of everybody realised the pure joy of people enjoying our LEGO that we all love and make them. You know, we don't do it for adulation or whatever, we're doing it for ourselves, but watching people be inspired, I think, was this thing that none of us had even realised was a thing. It's a place of acceptance. We all love LEGO for various reasons, whether it's something we did in childhood or whatever the case happens to be. And a lot of us have dark ages, some people don't have dark ages. And it's this kind of a kindred thing where we all get together based on the one love, which is the LEGO brick.
Did you ever imagine LEGO would open up such career opportunities after displaying at Brickvention?
Definitely not. I don't think you can imagine this at all. It's not something you could set out to plan to do. You know, I got back into LEGO, like all good AFOLs, I had a significant dark age from when I was a teenager, and once our kids came along, you know, Mum gave me my LEGO back, as a lot of things do, and I kind of got back into it that way. And we took a trip over to the US and bumped into the first LEGO store over there, and we were like, oh wow, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And they just released Cafe Corner, the first modular set, and I'm like, that's not a LEGO set, like the reaction of a lot of people. And so I bought it, and I was just blown away by how much LEGO had progressed since I was a child. And of course, being an adult, you have an income, and all of a sudden, instead of thumbing through the catalogue like crazy and going, oh, I wish I had that set, I wish I had that set, you can actually go and buy them. So of course that started my path down AFOL way.
Yeah, amazing. And a lot of people, I get people coming to me a lot. I imagine you get it a lot more, wanting to take their LEGO hobby into a professional career. What advice or guidance would you give to these people?
Well, the thing is, and you know, the cards fell the way for me, but you've really got to make it your own way and find something that you love doing and that you're passionate about. And you know, when I first started out doing LEGO professionally, I would do any job. You know, I was doing kids' birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, you name it. I would literally do anything that would pay a bill at all. And of course, you know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, you know, overnight success with LEGO and bits and pieces, but there's all those years, of course, where you have to toil away and wonder if you're going to pay a mortgage and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, the trick is to be persistent. And I mean, that works well with LEGO. We're all very patient in our LEGO builds. We all spend countless hours, weeks, months, years on our LEGO builds, and that works well in with that.
I've never heard of the party, Brickman. What were you doing at bar mitzvahs?
Oh, you name it, anything LEGO. Yeah. Pretty much one of those things. like any artist, it doesn't matter what the medium happens to be, whether it's Lego or whatever the case happens to be, when you get an opportunity to make a buck, you got to make a buck.
Yeah, oh, that's taking the tip off a brick, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the topic of the little empire that you've created, you're kind of the Jay-Z of Lego, or maybe Kardashians. You've created this little empire. So
hang on, just kick my butt. I don't think I'm a Kardashian quite to that level.
We see your giant mocks in stores around the country. You've got your Brickman exhibits all around the country. You've released a book. You've got BrickFit, which has just come out, and you play the role of Hamish's buddy Andy on the hit show Lego Masters.
Yeah, I got called Andy the other day.
Did you?
I had a good laugh. Hamish thought it was very funny.
I imagine it happens a lot more than when do you sleep?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, at the minute, we're very fortunate that Lego's a cool thing. And, you know, a lot of us that are involved with Brickvention and things over the years, it was just us. Lego wasn't this cool thing that had taken off and hadn't taken the world by storm. We all thought it was cool and we all knew it was cool, but it kind of hadn't gone to that level yet. So it's kind of one of those things where when the sun's shining, you've got to make hay. And I'm still very passionate. I love what I do. And so I'm always finding ways to use the brick in a different way. And I think that's what kind of makes it so exciting and still enjoyable to keep doing.
Yeah, fantastic. And I hope you don't mind me saying you're looking very healthy these days.
I'm not sure about that. Could lose a few ISO kilos. Maybe I could lose some ISO kilos.
But you've gone on quite a fitness journey over the past few years. Was this the motivation behind starting BrickFit?
Back before, in pre-Lego life, I was in the corporate world, and one of those things that you do is you're a slave to the suit, and you put the suit on at 7 o'clock in the morning and you come home at 7:30 at night, and you don't have time for yourself or your family or things like that. So you make a lifestyle decision at some point in time, and Lego was part of that. And likewise, also had the realization that as I'm getting a bit older in life, well into my 40s, nearly 50s, that you only have one body, you can't swap it out like a minifig torso. And so you've got to look after yourself a little bit. So I did that and went on a weight loss process, and it didn't take me that long, thankfully, and got back into the things that I used to love doing that I did when I was younger, cycling and riding and running and all those kind of bits and pieces, and kind of got back into it.
Yeah.
But BrickFit really came about in a different way. I was actually over in Billund at Denmark at the mothership, as we call it, and it was snowing outside, and which is a real novelty for us Aussies, of course, that we see that kind of stuff. And Legoland was closed, all boarded up basically for winter time or thereabouts. And pretty much Billund, of course, is just centred around Legoland, and so it's got a really cool running/walking riding track around Legoland.
Okay.
And it's kind of a big block. It's only a few kilometres, but it's relatively decent. So I thought I'd go for a run in the snow. Never done that before, so I thought it'd be interesting. And I was thinking to myself, oh, look, Legoland's closed. It's kind of this beautiful thing, like almost a mecca to us, and it's all shut up and boarded up. How do we get some enjoyment out of doing what I was doing, running? And I had this kind of realization of, is there a way that I can get some fitness or get kids active in the colder months or winter? And kind of this idea popped in my head. I had a couple of days worth of meetings here at Lego and flew home, and basically on the plane home for the 24 hours or whatever it was, I basically did a brain dump and came up with the concept of BrickFit.
Yeah.
And then went from there. So and of course a couple of years to develop it and work on it, and got there in the end.
And for those who haven't seen the app yet, tell us a little bit how it works. How are people getting fit with Lego? Yeah,
so there's two components to it. So first off, I kind of understand the Lego side of the app and how that works. What I didn't understand is I'm not a physician or an exercise guru at all. So we teamed up with Deakin University here in Melbourne, and a professor and a doctor, Joe Salmon and Nikki Rogers. And basically they said the big problem that kids have with fitness is that you can get them a Fitbit or a Garmin or whatever the case happens to be. Then after a couple of weeks, they basically lose interest.
Yes.
And it gets forgotten about, they forget to charge it, or it's not cool anymore or thereabouts. And it's a significant drop off. It's like a 90% drop off. And so that's a real challenge for them. So the idea and the concept that I had was, well, instead of that, what if every thing that you do, activity is rewarded with something in Lego, whether that's instructions or cool builds or something or another, badges or minifigs or whatever. and even physical Lego, getting physical Lego sent to you in the post, some limited minifigures or parts that can help your next build or whatever the case happens to be. And so we ran a pilot for a few months and the numbers were amazing. Kids just weren't dropping off.
Yeah.
And so basically we then went to Lego and said, hey, are you keen to try this out? And they loved the idea.
I've done it for sure.
Yeah, so it basically went from there. And so it'll go mass market in 2021, but we've been very fortunate to do a few tests here in Melbourne, which has been great.
Fantastic. Have you seen any massive success stories so far?
Yeah, look, it's funny. We only started selling it to the public just before Christmas in 2020. So we've only kind of seen the start of it, which has been great. And you know, we've got a lot of great feedback so far. What's going to be really interesting is once we start to see sort of the 6-month mark, if kids are still using it and where that's going. There are some significant benefits to making it a part of a child's routine, and that's when the real sort of the payoff happens. Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Fantastic. And there's over 150 models in the app. What level are you up to?
Myself, we actually build them all, funnily enough, because we've got to test them and make sure they're right. But I think I'm up to level 7, which I think is about 65 models or thereabouts. I've got to do a challenge later today, actually.
Okay, so you're almost halfway. That's pretty good.
I'm getting there. There's kids that are miles ahead of me, so I can't claim to be that number 1 user.
How long would you say it would take to complete?
Well, the cool thing is we've kind of phased it out that we've got, at this stage, we've got at least 6 months worth of Lego models.
Cool.
But the cool thing is, being a digital app, we can just add as many more as we like. What we are working on is things like the expansion kits and things like that, which you can add to it to get more bricks, which allow you to do more things.
The competition doesn't end with BrickFit. You've also released a book, Brickman's Family Challenge book. Are you all about competitive Lego these days?
No, I'm definitely not. One of the things that obviously everybody loves with Lego Masters is the at-home nature. It's such a positive show. People love to do the challenges that all the contestants have to go through. And so we thought of a way to kind of make that smaller scale in ways that they can easily achieve. All of them can't do that hanging brick and all these kind of crazy challenges that we put our contestants through. So we came up with some challenges which people can actually do at home, and different levels of complexity and the like. So we worked on this book for about a year, and yeah, it's gone really well too.
Have you seen has anyone tagged you in photos of them doing Lego Masters challenges at home?
Lots
and lots. Which is your favourite so far?
Out of the physical Lego Masters ones, probably the bridge challenge.
Fantastic.
That's the most dramatic, that everybody has an epic fail or something or another, which is absolutely cool. And of course, younger kids tend to gear towards the tower challenges too, so that's always a good one.
I did see a lot of tower challenge ones coming up.
Yeah.
What's next for the Brickman Empire?
Well, it's not. We're working on a lot of different things. Obviously, Lego Masters is pretty much all consuming for sort of 3 to 4 months of the year, and so we're kind of wrapping that up. But we've been working on an exhibition, our latest exhibition, for about 18 months now, and hopefully at Easter, COVID pending and all of those kind of bits and pieces, we'll get to release that to the wild, which will be great.
Fantastic. Well, you can find Brickman's book, BrickFit, and exhibitions all at brickman.com. Brickman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Keep an eye on this playlist, plus subscribe and set reminders so you don't miss a thing at Brickvention 2021.